Welcome, guys, to the Week 14 Better Off Podcast for Thursday Night Football. I am Bob Stanley, aka PropHolliday, with my esteemed colleague Alex Dubin of Better Off Sports. What's going on, man?
How you doing, Bob?
I'm hanging in there. It is getting freaking cold in Jersey. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's cold across the river too. But Dan, your usual partner, decided to screw off down to Florida. And because of that, Karma decided to get him super sick. And that's why I'm here. So, lesson learned, don't go somewhere warm when I have to stay up here in the cold.
Well, in 10 days, I will be in Riviera Maya, Mexico on my honeymoon. So hopefully, I get out of there safe and sound.
Karma gods don't get angry at honeymoons.
All right. Well, hopefully the football gods give us a decent Thursday night football game because it seems like we haven't seen one all year. Last week, Thursday night football was the Cowboys and the Saints. We did a great job on the under last week. I think me and Dan were both on under 47.5, which cashed in. From a player prop standpoint, I was all over Michael Gallup. I thought Amari Cooper was going to be out. Turns out Amari Cooper played. Michael Gallup still scored. Where my player prop faltered or my same game parlay faltered, I was off on Keanu Neal on tackles and assists. I needed over 7.5. He finished with 7 on the nose, and that's all she wrote. But we have a game this week. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Minnesota indoors against the Vikings. Big Ben and the Steelers coming off a huge win last week against the Baltimore Ravens. The game meant a lot to them. It was keeping their playoff hopes alive. They still have a shot at the wild card now. The Vikings did what no one wants to do, and that's give a winless team their first win. The only thing worse than that is giving a winless team a tie, which the Steelers actually did that in Week 10 to the Detroit Lions. So some familiarity there between the Steelers, Vikings, and Lions. But let's start it off, man. We got a Thursday night football game. I think the spread's at 2.5 or 3, depending on who you're looking at. The over-unders anywhere from 43.5 to 42.5. So they're not projecting a high score affair. What do you like? What do you like so far in this game?
So I actually, this wasn't the one that we rehearsed. I love the over. I think the Vikings are going to be pissed. I think that the Steelers play pissed all the time. I think that you have serious weapons here. You have Najee Harris, you have Deontay Johnson, you have Justin Jefferson, you have Kirk Cousins throwing the ball. And when you're throwing to Justin Jefferson, it could be my sister throwing the ball. So I like the over. I also I like Deontay Johnson. I like Justin Jefferson himself going over 90.5.
Nice. No, I mean, and the expectation is that Adam Thielen is going to be out. I think right now he's listed as doubtful. So if we get a Justin Jefferson and crew night, I think he's going to see a lot of targets. This Steelers defense plays a lot of zone coverage, so not a lot of man-to-man. He is going to demand a lot of attention, but if they are sitting soft in that zone with two high safeties, I do think we see Justin Jefferson. They eat him apart on the inside and everything in front of him. So I can totally see it with Justin Jefferson at 90.5. He's coming off a huge game last week. So I like that. I like that play. I'm also a fan of overs because who the hell wants to root for no scores, especially when it's the only game in town that night. As
Also,
far as
I think the Vikings have hit the over almost every week this season.
there's some on paper they're one of the more talented teams in the league, and I think it gets overlooked obviously because coaching has been an issue. Zimmer's in the hot seat, but they're a competitive team, kind of like that Detroit Lions team. I do like them this week. I am kind of on the Vikings. It's a short week. I always favor the home team when it comes to a short week. And just looking at like I said, looking at the talent on paper, this Vikings team is very, very talented. They are getting back two huge pieces on that defense from injury. Anthony Barr at linebacker, Eric Kendricks at linebacker could make things a living hell for Najee Harris if he can't get going early. I've said this all season on almost every podcast I've been on about the Steelers. Their margin for error is so thin. If they do not get the ball, if they do not get the run game going, and if they do not play sufficient defense, Big Ben doesn't have the arm strength anymore. He can't hit the edges. He doesn't throw the deep ball. So their margin for error is very, very thin. If they get behind 1 to 2 scores early and they have to rely on Big Ben dropping back 30, 35 times a game, that's when we've seen him get ugly. So I do like the home team this week. My favorite play from a sides perspective, I'm on the Vikings -2.5 in the first half. So why? Why would you? The spread is 3 for the game. Why would I give 3 points in the first half? I look at the statistics. I look at the point differential in the first half. Minnesota at home, ninth overall in the first half in points per game. They're putting up 13 and a half points per game at home. The Steelers, 31st in the league in first half points per game, 5.2. They don't get rolling into the second half. And when you have a big bruising back like Najee Harris, he usually doesn't start breaking the long runs to the second half of game when he's worn down defenses. So I do like the Vikings -2 in the first half versus -3 in the game overall.
I like it.
So obviously on the Better Off Propcast, we go through our favorite single plays. We also go through our same game parlays. But besides that, we have our weekly giveaway where Alex, or in most cases Dan will give his favorite play. In this case, Alex will give his favorite play. It sounds like it might be Justin Jefferson. I give my favorite play, and then we open it up to you guys. What do you like the most? And then we throw money on that same game parlay. We give it away to one winner once it hits. Usually everybody goes with a touchdown because that's what juices the odds. I can't blame them. If it's a crack, it's free money. Get the odds up there. So keep an eye out. We know Dan's play. My play is going to be the Vikings -2.5 in the first half. And then we want to hear what yours is. My guess, if I had to guess, it's probably going to be a Najee Harris touchdown. It's probably going to be a Justin Jefferson touchdown. I personally like KJ Osborne if you want to juice those odds up. It's like plus 260 on FanDuel. So we'll wait to hear from you guys. In the meantime, let's go through our same game parlay. What do you like from me, Alex?
So I've got that Justin Jefferson over 90.5 receiving. I've got Deontay over 79.5 receiving. And like you said, Pittsburgh may need to throw the ball quite a bit, and that's their guy. Najee over 72.5. It's the one that I'm not entirely sure of because if Pittsburgh falls behind, they're not going to feed him the ball. But even with their linebackers back, Minnesota doesn't do a whole lot against the run, and Najee Harris is a big, bruising disaster of a back. And then Big Ben under 252.5. And this again, he could throw the ball a lot and end up throwing for 300 yards just because they're behind. But I don't know. I don't see Big Ben cracking 250 in Minnesota. So that's a four-way parlay. I've got it at plus 1604. So roughly 16-1.
16-1. And me and Alex are a little bit older compared to some people out there in gambling Twitter. This could be the last time I'm getting them. This could be the last time we see Big Ben in a primetime game. I don't know if the Steelers have another primetime game the rest of the season. I do not have expectations for them to make a wild card this season, although they are still in the running. So if those two things don't happen, this could be the last primetime game we see of Big Ben Roethlisberger. And remember, he's from that Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers class. Besides Tom Brady, who doesn't count as a human being, he's up there. So no, man, I definitely agree with mostly everything on there. There's only one we differentiate on, and I will go on to my same game parlay right now. So I have a 6-legger, and it wouldn't be a same game parlay if I didn't throw a touchdown in. I mentioned it before. I'm on KJ Osborne. So last week, Adam Thielen gets hurt. He plays like 6 snaps in the beginning of the game. KJ Osborne steps in, playing 92% of the snaps. He scores his 3rd touchdown of the year. Great value considering Kirk Cousins. He's averaging 2 touchdowns per game. He's thrown 2 or more touchdowns, I think, in 9 of 12 games this season. So he's actually having a very good year despite the struggles of the Minnesota Vikings as a team. So KJ Osborne, it's plus 200 on DraftKings, plus 260 on FanDuel in that number 2 role. 3 touchdowns for the year. 1 last week with Adam Thielen essentially out of the lineup. We already talked about the Vikings -1.5 in the first half. No need to go into that. Kirk Cousins over 250 passing yards. It's an alternate line, but I do like that for him at home. And then KJ Osborne and Tyler Conklin over on their receiving yards. KJ Osborne's over 44.5. Conklin's over 37.5. I do still think Justin Jefferson has a game, but the amount of attention he's going to demand from that Steelers zone defense, I do think it's going to open up some underneath things for KJ Osborne and Conklin to go over these numbers. If we look at Conklin last week with no Adam Thielen and no Dalvin Cook, 7 receptions, 56 yards. KJ Osborne, 4 receptions, 47 yards. So both of them hit this number last week. Now we're getting a full game of them and a full week of practice with them entrenched as the starters. Um, and then lastly, I'm surprisingly going to go under. This is where we differentiate, Alex. I'm going to go under on Najee Harris. I wanted this to be under rushing and receiving. FanDuel does not let you do that. The rushing and receiving line is 104.5. But I'm throwing the under 72.5 on his rush yards. Now, Najee Harris has had a great rookie season by all accounts. He's played significantly better at home than on the road. He's essentially been two different backs. In 5 games on the road, he's averaging 15 rushes, 52 yards per game, 3.3 yards per carry. Pretty decent sample size, too. I do expect the Steelers to fall behind early, limiting the effectiveness of Najee Harris and the run game. And then you got Big Ben just not looking like himself. I already talked about Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks manning the middle of that field. They're coming back. So I am gonna. It's probably the riskiest play of my same game parlay, but I'm gonna fade Najee Harris. This is a 6-legger. It's 25 to win 1,011. Yes, I am betting it. Yes, I put this in. I didn't do all this damn research to not bet on it. So we each have ours in. I'm excited for any football. If it's Thursday night football, I have to watch. I don't care if the games suck. And by all means, Thursday night football has sucked this year. But any football is better than no football.
Truth.
To wrap this up, guys, please make sure you are following Better Off Sports. I am PropHolliday with 2 L's. This is the man behind the Better Off app, Alex Dubin. And we are excited for you to be following us. Make sure you get your tweet this out. We want to get your leg so that we can put out our 3-leg same game parlay and give all the profits out to our followers. You got to be following the Better Off Sports app. Take care, guys. Happy betting and best of luck.